Welcome, friends, to another exciting episode of A VGM Journey. And I'm your host, The Messenger. The track that we're playing into the show is Pre-Game from the game NHL 94, and that was composed by Sokyrka. Just like always, we have some fun tracks for you guys, and even a few requests from some fun people. And I say, let's kick things off with a request, this time coming from my good friend Bedroth. He wanted me to play the track Force Castle from the game Bullet Casters, and that was composed by Dominic Ninmark. That track that you just heard, that was Forest Castle from the game Bullet Casters. It was composed by Dominic Ninmark, and this was a request by Bedroth. So thank you, Bedroth, for that request. That was a really cool track, and you weren't kidding about that bass, as you called it. It's definitely very frantic, and it has to be because the game is a vertical scrolling bullet hell where you play as I'm assuming you're a witch and you're just flying around shooting all these magical bullets, and there's all these fantasy monsters going just crazy on you with bullets. And with this track, the thing that really stuck out to me and I thought it was super awesome was the horns. They definitely give off an original SNES F-Zero type of sound to me, which I absolutely love the soundtrack for that. So you definitely won me over with the horns alone. So I gotta say, Dominic Ninmark, he's doing a lot of good things. I definitely need to check out more of this soundtrack and more of his work in general, as this is some really good stuff. So I just want to say once again, thank you, Bedroth, for that track. We're going to move on to another request, and it's going to be something a bit more calmer and darker at the same time. And this was a request by Matt Sheldon of Commodore Gaming, and he wanted me to play the track Reflection, Center of the Earth mix from Celeste, specifically the B-sides. And this was a track composed by Jukio, Kallio. That track that you just heard, that was Reflection, Center of the Earth mix from the game Celeste. This was composed by Jukio, Kallio, and this was a request by Matt Sheldon. So thank you, Matt, for that request. I should have clarified earlier that this was based off some themes that were composed by Lena Rain for the original Celeste soundtrack, and that Jukio Kallio took that and made it a bit darker sounding, and I even really dug the guitar. And personally, I haven't really dabbled with Celeste too much. I played it a little bit. I had a good time with it, but I didn't really get super far into it. Definitely a fun platformer game, and if it's a challenge that you're looking for, it's definitely a good one for that. And Jukio Kallio's worked on a couple other soundtracks that I like, including Fall Guys, of all things. So I think that's got pretty good music. But they also did the music for Luftrausers, which was a really cool game. So I just want to say once again, Matt, thank you for that track. Next up for the show, I have a little segment that I like to call Then and Now, where I play a track that came out a long time ago, and then I follow that up with the latest version of that track. And this time, we're going to be covering Andy's theme from Advance Wars. It's just recently, the Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp came out on Switch, which is a remake of the first two Advance Wars games. And the soundtrack, I'm going to be honest, it's pretty good. So what we got is Andy's theme from Advance Wars and Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp. It was originally composed by Taishi Senda, and the arrangement was done by Maddie, Michaela, Nachtigall, and Tommy Pedrini. Those tracks that you just heard, that was Andy's theme from both the original Advance Wars and Advance Wars 1 plus 2 Reboot Camp. It was originally composed by Taishi Senda, and the arrangement was done by Maddie, Michaela Nachtigall, and Tommy Pedrini. Advance Wars is such a good game. And if you're not really familiar with what it is a turn-based strategy game where you control this army and you're either capturing cities or just wiping out your enemies. And there's also this storyline that you follow. And I will say that the game is a lot of fun. I really like the original, but I've been really enjoying the remake as well. And for comparing the two tracks, personally for me, it's really hard to say which one I like better. With system limitations in mind, I have to give the Game Boy Advance original a lot of credit. So, I mean, it is a pretty rocking track for the GBA, and the bass really slaps. But I might have to give a slight edge to the Reboot Camp version. I think it's very faithful to the original, and it's able to reach its potential and not be held back by these sound limitations. So I think the team at Way Forward did an amazing job with the game itself and the soundtrack. I also asked my fiance Carly what she thought, and she agreed with me. She definitely preferred the Reboot Camp version. So I am curious on what you guys wind up thinking, so definitely let me know. I think we're going to move on to something else, and that something else is Chex Quest. We're going to play the track Level 3, and that was composed by Andrew Benson. That track that you just heard, that was Level 3 from the game Chex Quest, and it was composed by Andrew Benson. And that's going to just about do it for the show this week. If you like what you've been listening to, have your friends check out the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, whatever podcasting service that you can think of. I'm more than likely going to be on there. You can email the show at vgmjourney@yahoo.com, and you can also check us out on Twitter at vgmjourney. We also have a Discord server for the show, which I will provide a link for that in the show notes, where you can hang out with your fellow VGM journeymen and talk about games, music, and even look at some cool art. We're also going to play out with one more track, and I think this is a cool one. This is Victory from the game Mortal Kombat, and it was composed by Dan Forden. Have a good one, everyone.